Alright guys, welcome back to Monster Misfits. Today I'm going to show you how to do a simple little mold with a screw up. So we're going to turn a screw up into maybe an awesome piece, hopefully. So what I got is this skull. So what happened to this skull, guys, is when I poured it, it either had too much of one, part A or part B, or too less of one or the other. Whichever, that is shrunk down to this. I think it turned out pretty doggone cool. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make a box mold. So I got a little simple box mold here, and I'm going to hot melt glue the seams together so it doesn't leak, and I'm going to hot melt glue this skull to the bottom and around the edge, just so no ultra-cal gets underneath of this, because this is kind of what you want protected. So whenever you do your mold later on with your latex and everything, you'll have that. So this will end up being put in there like that with hot melt glue, and we'll go around the edges just so it doesn't leak underneath. So while the hot melt glue is setting up, I'll go ahead and get the ultra-cal ready to rock and roll, and then we'll pour this sucker up and see what we get. Should only take about maybe 30-45 minutes depending on the temperature. So with it being chilly today, maybe it's in the like 60s. We'll let it set. Since it's real thick, we'll probably let it set for about an hour or so. Just make sure it's nice and hard, because we are going to have to pick this foam out of that skull, and hopefully I can do it without too much trouble. I've never done it before, so this is going to be my first attempt, and I'm bringing you along with me. So what I'm doing, guys, is I'm taking the hot melt glue, I'm just going around the edges, and that's just going to kind of ensure that I don't have any leaks. That's the hopes of it. Now there's all kinds of ways that you can make a mold. You don't have to use a box mold. You can just do it by hand or whatever. I just find this kind of a little bit more easier to deal with. And once we're done with it, we can use it for whatever. But I think put our skull in there. And what I'm going to do is just put a bunch of hot melt glue here, right around these edges, and this will help it seal so it doesn't come in around at them. That's what I'm hoping anyway. Get it down there. So yeah, I think I actually did pretty good. Yeah, I think I did pretty good. All right, so now with our skull being in the box, it's kind of what you're looking for. Now is I'll mix up some stuffing and start pouring. So this is what we got. Now we're gonna mix some water in this and start our mixture. Just do a little bit at a time till we get her done. we're gonna let that set up and we'll come back and we'll dig it out and show you the final result. So you're gonna be as surprised as I am. All right, guys, what we got here is it's already set up, so I'm just gonna cut this box off and show you kind of what I'm doing. Excuse the mess, I am sculpting a zombie torso. All right, there's our mold cleaned up. We're gonna pour some latex in here and see what happens. Now this is my first mold I've ever done, so let's hope it works out. Let's put some latex in that. So we'll leave this set for about an hour and a half or so. We'll come back and we'll dump it out and we'll go from there. All right, here's our mold we poured up. I've thrown some ultra counter just to kind of powder the inside of it so it doesn't stick to itself. You can use whatever you got, baby powder or whatever works. Let's pull this out and see how it looks. I'm hoping that it turns out okay. We will see. Now this has set overnight, so it's pretty thick actually. Let's hope it comes out okay. Okay, there's our skull. It turned out pretty good, to be honest with you. All screwed up, nasty looking. The nose is still wet down in there, so I might have to dress that. I mean, it did set overnight, so that thing is still pretty wet. Mostly because it's just thick as it can be right there. There we go. So you can see it is wet and it did leave a hole in its nose, but I can patch that. But there we go. I don't think it turned out too bad. We'll patch that, then we'll foam fill this thing. We'll trim it up and foam fill it, and we got some spooky skulls. Okay guys, what we're doing today is the little skull. We are going to foam fill this thing. I forgot to patch that, but anyway. We're going to foam fill this and go from there. Now, this thing is too hard to get back in the mold, and it's pretty thick, so I think we'll be fine. We'll just stick it in there and put some foam in it, and we'll just hold it where we want it to foam out. So let's do that. So what I'm using is called Flex Foam It. This is about 15 times. So this will expand about 15 times by volume. Your working time for this is almost nothing. I mean, it's quick. So I cut it off. That was on the back. Now you got a foam filled prop. I just used an old knife I found and cut the excess off. So that stuff sets up. It says 2 hours for fully set, but it sets up pretty quick. So we're looking at about 10-15 minutes, and you got you some nice foam. I'm sure it's going to be depending on your thickness of it. So now that we have that done, I think it looks pretty good. And there you goes a foam prop. Now you can trim it on up there if you want to, or however you want to do it, if you want to make yourself one, but there you go. Nice, and it's full like it should be. There's a prop. Now all we got to do is paint it. So anyway, guys, there you go. There's our little foam filled messed up skull that we molded. Showed you how to make a mold. We just made a square mold for it. Try to make it simple, and we used. That's what it looked like when it came out. And the only thing about some of these skulls, guys, is the undercuts on them and stuff are hard to get out of the mold. So I kind of keep that in mind. But overall, it came out pretty good, and we got a pretty decent little cast out of it. And we foam filled it. And let me show you what we used. We used Flex Foam 3, part A and part 2. Now this is 1 ratio to 2 of these. It is a little expensive. It's $100 some for you get 2 of these blues and 1 yellows. So you're going to have a little investment in it, but it'll expand up to 15 times its liquid state. So it does pretty good. I enjoy this kind of foam. We are going to try some other foams later on, but I wanted to show you this. It takes about 2 hours to be fully cured, but there's the foam right there. About the same consistency of one of them little footballs you get at Walmart, about like that. So there you go, guys. We hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check out my brothers, guys. I got a lot of brothers for some reason, but check out my brothers that does the same kind of ordeal, makes props and Halloween stuff, and we do it all year long. That's Keith at Cobwebs and Candlesticks. That's David the Weird Kid Show. Check out Chill Factor. He's got some great content. He's got some other great content that's going to come out soon. So you don't want to miss all that stuff, guys. And as always, it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Just build it. And we'll see you on the next build. Thanks for watching.
Keep it creepy.